The Silent Reckoning. The crystalline spires of Velastra Prime gleamed in the light of three suns, each tower projecting holographic banners that fluttered in a non-existent wind. The Galactic Consortium celebrated their victory over the Tyranny Dominion with an extravagance that bordered on obscenity. Ships from a dozen species soared in precision formations overhead, their hulls polished to mirror-like perfection. Dignitaries from across known space gathered in the Grand Forum, raising glasses filled with bioluminescent nectar. "The threat is vanquished," declared High Chancellor Zexor, his translucent tentacles waving emphatically as his exoskeleton gleamed with ceremonial ornamentation. "Our combined might has driven the tyranny back to the void from which they emerged. Peace reigns once more." The crowd erupted in harmonized celebration, a cacophony of hoots, clicks, and melodic trills that echoed across the capital. Species that had warred for millennia before the consortium united them now stood shoulder to limb to tentacle, united in their victory. None of them noticed the solitary human observer. Commander Elena Reyes stood on a distant balcony, her dark uniform lacking any decorative elements save a small earth insignia over her heart. Her eyes, augmented with tactical implants, zoomed in on the gathering while Davis scrolled across her peripheral vision. Unlike the others, she wasn't celebrating. She knew what they didn't. This war was far from over. "Status report," she murmured into her subvocal communicator, the words transmitted directly from her larynx to the receiver. "All systems remain dormant, Commander," came the reply from Lieutenant Kovacs. "No consortium queries about our operations. They're too busy patting themselves on their various appendages." Elena permitted herself a small smile. "Keep monitoring. You know the protocol." She turned away from the celebration, retreating into the shadows of the human embassy, a modest structure compared to the other diplomatic headquarters. The consortium had always viewed humans as the newcomers, the upstarts barely worth noticing. Earth had only achieved faster-than-light travel a century ago, while some members of the consortium had been crossing the stars for millennia. When the Tyranny attacked from the galactic rim 3 years ago, humanity had offered its full military support. The consortium had graciously accepted their token forces, but relegated human ships to logistics and rear-echelon duties. "Your technology is simply too primitive," Admiral Kivrix had explained with what passed for kindness among the auxiliary species. "We wouldn't want to endanger your people unnecessarily." In the dimly lit tactical room of the embassy, Elena reviewed the classified feeds only accessible to human military. The screen showed scattered points of light across multiple star systems, dormant human vessels hiding in asteroid fields, nestled in nebula clouds, or disguised as derelict space debris. Operation Thunderclap had been humanity's insurance policy, implemented in secret while the consortium waged its glorious war. "They never bothered to ask why we stopped arguing about frontline positions," she said to the room's only other occupant, political attaché James Wong. Wong nodded, his weathered face grim. "Humans have always been good at being underestimated. It's practically our superpower." A soft alert chimed from Elena's implants. She blinked twice to acknowledge it, and fresh data cascaded across her vision. Her breath caught. "It's happening," she said. "Quantum distortions consistent with Tyranny jump signatures, multiple points converging on." "The victory celebration," Wong finished, already moving toward the communications array. They never left. They were regrouping. Above Velastra Prime, space folded, not with the elegant precision of consortium drives, but with violent tears that left reality bleeding. The Tyranny hadn't retreated in defeat. They had withdrawn to prepare for a decisive strike. Their warships emerged from the ruptures like predators breaking the surface of a calm pond. Angular, obsidian vessels with pulsing crimson energy lines tracing their hulls. The celebration ended in screams. Consortium defense platforms, many powered down for the festivities, struggled to activate their shields. The first salvo from the Tyranny fleet tore through the orbital defenses like paper. Decorative formation ships exploded in silent bursts of flame and debris. In the Grand Forum, the assembled dignitaries scattered in panic. High Chancellor Xor was already being hustled to an evacuation shuttle by his guards, his earlier bravado replaced by the primal instinct of survival. "Activate the defense grid," shouted Admiral Kavarix, but the command center was in chaos. No one had expected an attack. Not here, not now. Centuries of peace before the tyranny had left the consortium complacent, their military doctrine theoretical rather than practical. Elena watched through the embassy's shielded viewport as tyranny dropships pierced the atmosphere, trailing fire like falling stars. The consortium's celebrated unity dissolved in minutes, with each species' representatives scrambling to contact their homeworlds or secure passage off-world. "All observers, this is Thunderclap Actual," Elena transmitted on the secure human frequency. "Initiation code Sierra. Echo Victor Echo November. I repeat, Thunderclap is now active." Across dozens of star systems, dormant human vessels stirred to life. Unlike the elegant, standardized designs of consortium ships or the angular nightmares of tyranny craft, human ships were diverse, pragmatic, and built with one overriding philosophy: survivability. They weren't pretty. They weren't uniform, but they were ready. In an asteroid field near Proxima Centauri, the UES Thermopylae disengaged its camouflage systems, shedding the rocky shell that had concealed it for months. Captain Sarah Chen ran her hands over the manual controls. Another human peculiarity. While consortium ships were largely automated and tyranny vessels cybernetically linked to their crews, humans maintained physical interfaces and backup systems for everything. "All hands to battle stations," Chen announced, her voice steady. "Operation Thunderclap is activated. Prep jump drives for coordinates Thunderclap Prime." Similar scenes played out across human ships hidden throughout consortium space. Vessels concealed in gas giants emerged from swirling storms. Ships disguised as abandoned mining platforms powered up reactor cores. Stealth observers stationed near strategic waypoints disengaged their sensor baffles. On Velastra Prime, the situation deteriorated rapidly. The tyranny ground forces had secured the spaceport and were methodically advancing toward the government district. Consortium troops, trained more for ceremonial duties than actual combat, offered minimal resistance. Elena secured the embassy's data core, initiating the purge protocols for sensitive information. "Wong, get to the evac shuttle. Take the diplomatic staff to rendezvous point Epsilon." "What about you, Commander?" Wong asked, already knowing her answer. "I'm activating the Phase 2 beacon and then heading for the secondary extraction point." She checked her sidearm. A projectile weapon rather than an energy pistol. Another human peculiarity the consortium had mocked. Energy weapons were cleaner, more advanced, but they could be disrupted by certain fields. Bullets, as humans had known for centuries, were reliable. As Wong departed with the embassy staff, Elena made her way to the secure communications center. The tyranny were 3 blocks away and advancing quickly. Through her tactical feed, she watched consortium forces falling back in disarray. Their sophisticated weapons were failing against tyranny jamming technology. Elena activated the quantum entanglement transmitter, technology the consortium didn't know humans possessed. The message was simple, pre-programmed. Thunderclap Phase 2 initiated. Target: Velastra Prime. Countdown: T-20 minutes. She destroyed the transmitter and moved to her extraction point, navigating through service tunnels beneath the diplomatic quarter. Above, the sounds of battle intensified. Tyranny ground forces were methodical, efficient, moving like insectoid predators through the once pristine streets. Elena emerged 2 kilometers from the embassy at a nondescript warehouse. Inside waited her contingency, a small, unmarked shuttle with stealth capabilities. As she prepared for launch, her implants detected a massive energy surge from orbit. The main tyranny fleet had arrived. Enormous warships, dwarfing even the largest consortium vessels, emerged from hyperspace. Their arrival heralded not just an attack, but an invasion. The Tyranny hadn't come to raid or punish. They had come to conquer. Consortium emergency channels devolved into panic. Species that had proudly proclaimed eternal unity now demanded prioritized evacuation for their own citizens. Defense strategies collapsed as each member world attempted to recall ships to protect their individual territories. Alina's shuttle slipped through the chaos, its stealth systems making it virtually invisible to both sides. As she achieved orbit, she had a clear view of the devastation. Velastra Prime's orbital defenses were in ruins. The Consortium's response fleet was scattered and outmaneuvered. But at the edge of the system, quantum distortions signaled new arrivals. Not the elegant folds of Consortium ships or the violent tiers of Tyranny vessels, but controlled, precise micro-jumps that minimized energy signatures. The human fleet had arrived. Leading the formation was the UES Defiance, Earth's first true battleship. Unlike the streamlined aesthetics of alien vessels, the Defiance was blocky, asymmetrical, and bristling with weapon systems of various designs. Some borrowed and improved from alien concepts, others uniquely human. Commander Reyes came a transmission from the Defiance. Admiral Joe sends his compliments. Your extraction corridor is clear. Welcome to the real war. Alina programmed her approach vector, a fierce smile spreading across her face. The Consortium had dismissed humans as primitives. The Tyranny had ignored them as inconsequential. Both were about to learn how dangerous humanity could be when underestimated. As her shuttle approached the human fleet, Alina saw more ships emerging from stealth, vessels of all sizes, from nimble corvettes to massive carriers. Some bore the scars of previous conflicts. Others were fresh from Earth's orbital shipyards. All had been prepared for this moment. The tide was about to turn. Humanity had been waiting in the shadows. And now, they would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. When Titans rise, Admiral David Joe stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, his weathered face illuminated by the tactical hologram projecting the battle for Velastra Prime. Unlike the Consortium's command centers with their automated systems and AI predictive algorithms, the Defiance's bridge hummed with human activity. Officers called out reports, technicians monitored systems manually, and behind the Admiral, a team of analysts worked with both digital tools and physical maps. Status on Commander Reyes, Zhao asked, his attention never leaving the holographic display. Docked and aboard, sir, Lieutenant Park responded. She's heading to secondary command. Zhao nodded. The Consortium defense grid collapsed at all key points. Their remaining ships are attempting to form a defensive perimeter around the evacuation corridors, but it's uncoordinated. The Tyranny have control of the primary orbital lanes. The Admiral studied the enemy formation. The Tyranny warships moved with the precision of predators that had cornered their prey, methodically cutting off escape routes, while their ground forces secured key locations on the planet below. They had no reason to suspect another force was about to enter the equation. Signal the fleet, Zhao ordered. Execute Phase 3, Combat Pattern Thermopylae. Throughout the human fleet, captains received the order. Unlike the standardized ships of the Consortium or the biological uniformity of Tyranny vessels, each human ship was unique, customized, modified, and adapted based on its specific role and the lessons learned from previous engagements. The UES Thunderchild, a heavy cruiser retrofitted with experimental shield technology, moved into position alongside the destroyer group Spartan Wing. The carrier Normandy deployed its fighter squadrons, atmospheric-capable craft that could transition from space to planetary combat. The retrofitted mining vessel Charon activated its gravitational tether systems, designed to disrupt enemy formations. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Captain Hiroshi Tanaka addressed his crew. The Tyranny don't know we exist as a fighting force. The Consortium thought we were primitives playing at war. Today, we show them both what humanity brings to a fight. The human fleet accelerated on an intercept course, still cloaked by stealth systems reverse-engineered and improved from captured Tyranny technology. The element of surprise was total. The first indication the Tyranny had that something was wrong came when three of their destroyer-class vessels suddenly exploded. Human ships had emerged from stealth at point-blank range, firing specialized EMP torpedoes that overloaded the Tyranny bioelectronic systems before their shields could adapt. All ships, weapons free. Admiral Zhao commanded. Execute battle plan Leviathan. The Lena Rays arrived on the Defiance's bridge just as the human fleet fully revealed itself. The Tyranny, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to reorient their forces. Their communication channels, intercepted and decoded by human intelligence, filled with confusion and orders that contradicted each other. They didn't account for us, Alina said, taking position beside Admiral Zhao. Just as we predicted. The consortium didn't share our battle data with them, Zhao replied. Why would they? We were just the primitive newcomers, barely worth mentioning in their war councils. On the tactical display, the battle unfolded with controlled chaos. Human ships fought unlike anything seen in the galaxy. While consortium vessels maintained formation and distance, human ships engaged at point-blank range. While Tyranny relied on overwhelming firepower, humans employed unpredictable maneuvers and unconventional weapons. The UEA's Thermopylae demonstrated the effectiveness of humanity's hybrid approach, firing salvos of missiles containing both conventional explosives and experimental phase disruption technology that temporarily created blind spots in Tyranny sensory systems. Captain Chen's vessel executed a maneuver that would have been considered suicidal by consortium standards, deliberately flying through the debris field of a destroyed enemy ship to emerge behind a Tyranny cruiser and deliver a killing blow to its exposed drive section. The consortium evacuation is proceeding through Corridor Echo, reported Lieutenant Park. Tyranny forces are disengaging from civilian targets to address our fleet. As expected, the Lena noted, they recognize a genuine threat when they see one. Aboard the lead Tyranny vessel, Supreme Commander Corvash watched with mounting fury as the unknown ships tore through his carefully orchestrated assault. The tactical symbology identified them as human vessels, a species he had dismissed as irrelevant based on consortium intelligence. How is this possible? He demanded of his subordinates. Their technology should be primitive, their tactics undeveloped. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Zrek, studied the battle data with all four eyes. They concealed their true capabilities, Supreme Commander. These are not the same vessels that served in auxiliary roles. These are purpose-built warships. The deception is irrelevant, Corvash declared. Concentrate fire on their flagship. Show them the consequence of their trickery. The massive Tyranny dreadnought oriented toward the Defiance, its main cannon, a particle beam capable of cutting through planetary crusts, beginning its charging sequence. Energy cascaded along the length of the obsidian vessel as it prepared to deliver a killing blow. Tyranny flagship is targeting us, announced the Defiance's tactical officer. Energy signature indicates main weapon charging. Admiral Zhao nodded calmly. Signal the Karen. Execute gravity hammer. The modified mining vessel Karen, positioned on the far side of the battle, activated its specialized equipment. Originally designed to break apart asteroids for resource extraction, the gravitational tether systems have been weaponized by human engineers. Invisible beams locked onto the Tyranny flagship, creating localized gravitational distortions that twisted space around the charging weapon. On the Tyranny vessel, alarms blared as sensors detected the spatial distortion. Weapon integrity compromised, shouted a technician. Field collapse imminent. Corvash barely had time to order an emergency shutdown before the dreadnought's main cannon imploded, the controlled reaction becoming uncontained. Secondary explosions rippled along the flagship's lateral hull, venting atmosphere and crippling its primary systems. Throughout the system, the tide turned. Human ships employed tactics that defied conventional military doctrine, sacrificing shields to deliver killing blows, executing micro-jumps inside the battle sphere, deploying clouds of self-replicating nanites had attacked Tyranny bioelectronic interfaces. On the Defiance's bridge, Elena monitored the consortium communications channels. High Chancellor Xor is requesting direct communication, Admiral. Zhao straightened his uniform. Put him through. The holographic image of the consortium leader appeared, his usual composure shattered, tentacles twitching with agitation. Admiral Zhao, we were not aware of your fleet's capabilities. The consortium formally requests your assistance in our hour of need. Interesting, Zhao replied, his voice level. I recall offering that same assistance when the Tyranny first appeared. I believe Admiral Kivrix called our ships quaint antiques best kept out of harm's way. The Chancellor's skin flushed with embarrassment. A regrettable misunderstanding. We see now that humanity has much to contribute to the consortium's defense. Not the consortium's defense, Chancellor, Zhao corrected. The defense of all intelligent life in this sector of the galaxy. We're already providing it, as you can see. The battle reached its climax as the remaining Tyranny vessels, recognizing their untenable position, attempted to retreat. Several managed to jump to safety, but the majority found their drive systems compromised by specialized human electronic warfare packages, another technology the consortium had deemed too simplistic to be effective against advanced species. 6 hours after the human fleet's arrival, Velastra Prime was secure. Tyranny ground forces, cut off from orbital support, surrendered or went into hiding. The consortium's authority had been preserved, but the galactic balance of power had shifted irrevocably. In the aftermath, Admiral Zhao and Commander Rice stood in an observation lounge aboard the Defiance, watching as repair vessels, both human and consortium, worked to clear orbital debris. They want us on their high command now, Elena said, looking at the communique from Earth's diplomatic corps. 7 seats, full voting rights, and access to all military planning. Zhao smiled thinly. Amazing how quickly attitudes change when you demonstrate your worth. It wasn't just about showing our strength, Elena mused. It was about timing, patience. We could have revealed our true capabilities earlier, demanded respect from the beginning. And they would have seen us as a threat, not an ally. Zhao finished. Better to be underestimated and prepared than feared and targeted. On the planet below, reconstruction had already begun. Human engineers worked alongside consortium specialists, sharing technologies that had been kept secret until now. The partnership was uneasy, born of necessity rather than true understanding. But it was a beginning. In the Defiance's main hangar, Captain Chen of the Thermopyla watched as her crew unloaded recovered Tyranny technology for analysis. A consortium official approached, his ornate uniform indicating high rank. Captain, the alien said with newfound respect, your tactics were unorthodox but effective. The Auxiliary Battle College would be honored if you would consider sharing your expertise with our strategists. Chen raised an eyebrow. Funny how that works, isn't it? Yesterday we were primitives barely worth noticing. Today you want our battle doctrines. I understand your skepticism, the official replied, humbled. But we recognize now that diversity of approach is strength, not weakness. The Tyranny will return, stronger and more prepared. We need each other. Chen considered this, then nodded once. Send me the details. I'll consider it. As the official departed, Chen turned back to her crew. Finish the unloading and prepare for repair cycle. I have a feeling we won't be sitting idle for long. Throughout known space, the news spread rapidly. Humanity, the newcomers, the primitives, had turned the tide when all seemed lost. The species that the galactic community had dismissed had become its unexpected saviors. The war wasn't over. The Tyranny would regroup, adapt, and return. But when they did, they would face not just the consortium, but humanity as well. No longer hidden, no longer underestimated, but standing as equals among the stars. And that made all the difference.